I called Bob Strauss' office, who was the chairman of the National Democratic Committee, and asked him for a list of all the Hispanic surname people who were elected from state representative, state senate, governors, or whatever in the United States. They did not have such a list. So I asked him, well, all you got to do is write the Secretary of State in each state, and they know everybody who's elected to anything. And get that list, and I just want to touch base with state guys to touch base with them to see about their strong points and our weak points and how we can get together and touch base. And naturally, a guy by the name of Joe Aragon ran with that ball, who was serving under Jimmy Carter in the White House. And he was from Los Angeles, and he managed to get together with me, and I met with him in Washington, and we put together one meeting. We called for a meeting of all elected people from state offices, senates throughout the country. But the word got out that their meeting was going to take place, and everybody who was elected to city councils and other things, which were, by then there was a good many, especially in Texas, California, Detroit, New York, certainly, and people serving in, not in the state house, but serving at city councils and school boards and what have you, and they too wanted to attend. And the meeting grew, and I think we drew over 1,000 people on the first meeting. We had people elected to Congress, people like Kika de la Garza, Congressman Roy Ball from California. I think, a good friend, Charlie Rango, had just gotten elected. He was a Korea veteran like myself, Charlie Rango. And of course, there was Governor Castro from Arizona. There was Senator Montoya from New Mexico. But we had not been touching base with each other. At them days, they would project that all Hispanics were, or we didn't use the word Hispanic then, but that everybody was in the Southwest, in the East, and nothing in between, which is not true. It's always been like it is now, and even now it's bigger naturally, but we like ourselves here, we've been everywhere all along, but not in the numbers we have today. But in any case, we did get together, and all our Latinos legislators, like Kika de la Garza, who at that time was chairman of the Agriculture Committee, which is one of the most powerful committees in the country, because agriculture in this country, and he attended. There was Mayor Freire from Miami, was a great guy, and others, and Irene Hernandez, like myself, she, the first Mexicana to run countywide in Cook County and get elected over the objections of many people. And this is a story that was going on throughout the country, and it's going on as we speak. So, along with the need for voter registration, and then Governor Castro called another meeting later on down in Arizona, where we met to discuss that very problem. The people in Congress flying over us, And Congressman Roy Ball was very instrumental in that effort.
Is that how NALEO was formed eventually?
I think NALEO came as a result of us wanting to get together as citizens and elected officials throughout the country, touching base with each other. Yes, they did form NALEO as a result of that.
Can you say what the acronym NALEO means?
National Association of Latino Elected Officials, I think it is, And that's the name they give themselves. People
is it elected and appointed officials?
Yeah, something to their point. I thought at first it was elected officials. We didn't have many. Yeah. We had one senator, a few congressmen from the Southwest and the West, and of course Charlie Rango, and we had the mayor of Miami, and of course then Irene Hernandez from one countywide in Cook County. That was a big one, and now naturally I don't know the makeup of it, but I know we have more numbers in there, like the Sanchez sisters from Los Angeles, whom I met both. I think Loretta was running for the Senate, and she didn't make it, but nonetheless, the seeds are planted where, yes, even in California, as big as it is, or Texas, we can have a Mexicano elected. U.S.
And
Senate.
then your national involvement, did you run into Willie Velasquez, who was also very active in the voter registration movement among Mexicanos?
You know, I might have, I don't recall meeting him personally, but I know of Willie Velasquez. I know that there were others like himself, and especially out of Detroit and Cook County, and certainly in the Southwest, you know, in Crystal City, Texas. In fact, I was in Washington, D.C. one time at one of our meetings, and where the people from Texas said, we got to leave because there's a problem down there in Crystal City, which became very famous because of the school board, you know, what they did, and rightfully so. So,
Right. Well, as you interacted at a national level, who were some of the personalities that most stood out to you or influenced you in some way?
oh, Congressman Roybal, naturally, because once in a while he would stop here. He would stop here in Kansas City, and we'd meet at the airport, myself and a few other guys, you know, if nothing else, just to say hello on his way back to Washington, and or going back home. It didn't happen very often, but it did, you know. And
what about Governor Castro down in...
Castro was very instrumental in so many ways. He was so eloquent, you know. He was one of 13 kids, if I recall, and became a prominent figure there in Arizona and did well for himself financially, and ran for governor against a well-entrenched, very biased opponent, who in fact, Governor Castro, as you know, if you recall his pictures, he was a short, stocky guy with a mustache, dark complected, and his opponent one time had billboards, and he was a good-looking guy, you know, apparently, you know, and he had billboards that read, "Vote for the man who looks like a governor," much like what we are listening to today in the national elections, you know, the demagoguery that's taking place. It's not new to us. So, but he beat those odds.
What would you say to young people today who are sometimes complacent about being involved in the political process and civic engagement?
Well, as they read, and they should read our history, if you do not know your history, you're condemned to repeat it. I don't know who said that, but that is so true today, that we must be vigilant, we must be active, we must look to the future, participate in the process, the political process, because it is your political process. It's not just mine or anybody else's. It belongs to all of us. And if we become full participants, we will reap the full benefits of it.
Willie Velasquez often says in his campaign, "Su voto es su voz."
See?
Yeah.
And it's true.
Your vote is your voice.
It's true, very true. It's always been that way. And he's only repeating what is true, saying what is true, and it's true today. And if you don't vote, you didn't voice anything.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you'd like to say?
Well, you know what? I'm not the best guy at initiating a conversation. I'm better at answering questions. Well, one question may remind me of something else, you know. Yeah, we could talk at great length for a long, long time, you know. But I'm sure your time is important, and yeah, we could talk a long time on many subjects, many of which pass my mind a little bit, you know.
Well, we can do that in our next session sometime down the road.
And I regret that I didn't write everything down. Like one time I used to keep a calendar of everything I did, you know, whether they're phone calls, who I would talk to, who I would meet with, and what the subject matter was. And unfortunately, I lost some of those books down through the waste. You know, we could have some professional historically put them together, but maybe we still can.